So I'm a little bit obsessed with van living and van life. And one day on Instagram, I saw a woman who's living in a van with her young son, and I was so inspired and knew we just had to get her on the podcast.
This is a woman who has changed the story of her life, not once, but twice. The last time in just 30 days. We just wanted to let you know that she is living the van life right now, so the quality of the call may not be perfect, but what can you expect from somebody in a van next to the ocean?
And now a word from the sponsor of today's episode.
Hi, Petty here from the Leveraged Mama blog. I help mamas find financial freedom through conscious, clever and creative money management. I believe that everyone deserves a chance at financial freedom, but debt is a reality for many people and it can seem like such a huge obstacle. Actually, paying off debt is just training wheels for the journey towards financial independence. Think about it. Do you know a mama who dreams of financial freedom but is stifled by debt? Send her my way and I will help her really kick things off with my debt reduction cheat sheet. Find the cheat sheet at leveragedmama.com/fire drill.
Welcome to Fire Drill Podcast, where side hustles, savings, and creativity lead to financial independence. With your hosts, Gwen from Fiery Millennials and Jay from Millennial Boss.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Fire Drill Podcast. We are pumped, and I mean pumped, to have Bionca Smith on. Hey, Bianca.
Hey, guys.
Hey, and Gwen is here too.
Woot woot, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing well. Bionca may be doing a little better than us because she lives this really cool, awesome van life. So thank you so much for coming on, and please give us the 30-second soundbite on you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, ladies. I am feeling absolutely amazing. Currently, I am in Long Beach and the weather is gorgeous. I'm just happy to be alive, connecting with beautiful people and just feeling free as ever and excited to connect with you and reach more people that want to live the freedom lifestyle. And I hope that this podcast gives them the inspiration and the courage to make that leap.
So we had you move to a different spot for the Wi-Fi connection, but you had this great spot right on the beach where I'm assuming you can look out the windows of your van and see the ocean, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us, who are you?
I am a life coach, a globetrotting life coach. I'm a single mom, and I travel around the world and talk to people of all ages, mainly about bullying. Like I like to visit schools, and I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. So I'm really passionate about giving back and doing a lot of community service projects. But where my heart is just talking to people about bullying. But at the same time, I did get certified to be a strategic intervention life coach a couple years ago. It's allowed me to be able to connect with so many families and truly live in my light and serve in this area of coaching. And I just feel great. I feel absolutely amazing to be able to be a conduit for people who want to create some sort of change in their life. They can't see where their blind spots are or just don't have the courage. You know, they can't tap into that creative energy to be able to create the necessary possibilities for themselves. And I just feel absolutely amazing to be able to help so many people just reach this level of life where you have so much creativity, so much passion, so much connection. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell, the globetrotting life coach.
You know, I think it's amazing that you're talking to people about being bullied because I was hardcore bullied starting in like 5th grade, I think it was, and all the way up through pretty much middle school, though a little bit of high school, not too much. But yeah, like it made growing up more miserable than it had to be. And so I'm glad that it's getting talked about nowadays.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad I'm sorry that you had that experience, but I think what's really important is the awareness of it and then actually, paying attention and getting into the schools and addressing it. Because when I was bullied really bad, it took a toll on my self-esteem and my relationships with my family. I didn't have any friends or anything like that. And, our first experiences with kids and our parents at a really young age, it affects our life in the long run and how we approach different situations, so it feels good just to be able to plant seeds of courage and hope into people so that people can actually understand that they have choices and that they don't have to be in this victim kind of mentality, but they can be a creator and choose to do differently and define and design, how they want their life to be. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my hardships of being bullied just because they made me have thick skin and be able to do things like what I'm doing now.
So what you're doing now, you're traveling all around the US, you're talking to people about and spreading awareness of bullying, and you're doing it while living in a van, building a business, and traveling along with your young son. I found you on Instagram and I was super surprised because I haven't found anyone who's doing the van life with a kid right now. And being a single mom with a kid, that's really awesome and inspiring. So how did this whole thing happen? Like, why are you living in a van right now?
Wow. Oh my goodness. So every time someone retells our story, I'm like, wow, yeah, there aren't too many people with kids. Well, okay. I'll just give you the full story of how this all happened and what the scene was looking like. I was living in San Francisco in the Bay Area. I had just kind of escaped the corporate world. And I knew, I've always been an entrepreneur, but trying to figure out how to make ends meet at home, with the cost of living and how to build up a business was just a struggle for me. But then I mastered it. But at the same time, I just had all these big bills and I just felt like I was still trapped in this box. So after 2 years of being in this box, which I refer to as this super fancy condo that I was living in, I wanted more out of life. Like I was working at home every single day and talking to all these beautiful people from around the world, but I wanted to be out and about, really connecting with people. The thing that was stopping me was it was just bills. I just had so many bills piling up and I had a whole bunch of debt that I was super anxious to pay off. And I remember I just kept thinking to myself, man, if I didn't have this rent, I could pay off my credit card bills in like 3 months. And so, I had always been fascinated with traveling the world full time. And I felt like that was going to have to be something that I would not be able to do until I was retired. I made a Facebook post and this is where it all began. And in this Facebook post, I basically said, one day I want to travel the world and explore hidden places, these hidden gems with my son. And someone commented on that post and they said, what's stopping you? And me being me, I thought to myself, nothing's stopping me. I'll do that eventually. I'll do this one day. Later on that evening, I thought about that. I thought about what I said when I said, oh, one day, right? The reality is, whenever you say you're going to do something one day, you're just pushing it back. Not just one day. It's like weeks, months, years, or it could possibly be never. I thought long and hard about what was really stopping me and everything just came down to things. I was like, oh, well, all of my things in this place, they're all new and shiny and I worked so hard to accumulate all this stuff. And what about my friends and this community? And then I was like, this isn't right. I'm like, I should not let things hold me back from making a decision because all of these things are replaceable or either they're not going to leave. Like the relationships that I have with people, those aren't tangible things, but I can still have that connection with people no matter where I am. And I can still travel and I can be free if I should choose to be anywhere. From that moment, I made another Facebook post. And this is where I went all in. And I said, you know what? I said, within 30 days, I am going to get rid of all of my things. I'm going to homeschool my son and travel the world until further notice. And I'm going to write a book, this book that I had always been wanting to write about overcoming obstacles and, basically how to do it. And so I said, I'm going to do this within 30 days. I put in my 30-day notice and man, oh man, that is when the clock really started ticking. And so when I put in that 30-day notice, I started getting rid of all of my things. I enrolled my son into a homeschool. I didn't know anything about homeschooling whatsoever. And I found this really cool curriculum online with this virtual school called Connections Academy. That just made a lot of things really easy. So from that point, I literally just started carving out what I wanted it to be like in order for us to be able to travel full time. I started changing my address over to a postal box where I could have my mail forwarded no matter where I was. And I just started doing all these different little things. A week before my lease was officially over, I still didn't know where we were going to go. to travel the world full time because I had just been so busy preparing. I was that laser focused. And so I was like, okay, well, where are we going to go? So I look over at my son and I'm like, hey, Carter, where do you want to go? He's like, I don't know, anywhere. So we kind of just spun the globe basically and said, okay, let's go to Thailand. So I bought 2 one-way tickets to Thailand. On the very last day of our lease, here I am cleaning up my apartment. I'm cleaning up my place. We have an Uber that's on the way. Our flight leaves in 2 hours. And I'm like rushing. And then I took all my keys and I dropped them off at the leasing office. And then I had one more key that was very important, which was the one to my BMW. I had no idea what I was going to even do with my car, but I didn't care. I said, I'll figure it out, take care of it later. I got a flight to catch. So I threw the key underneath the mat. We hopped in the Uber and went to the airport. And here we are. It's been 11 months now. We've been traveling all over the place. So sorry, I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but
No, I mean, your journey has been awesome. And I know from following you on Instagram that it didn't start there. I mean, you reached a point where you were successful, you were, had this apartment in the city, you had a BMW now, but there had been a climb before that from when you were growing up to that point. So you had been already on, I'm assuming, some type of money journey before you decided the 30-day, I'm going to do this thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what was that first part like? I mean, you said that growing up, I know from following on Instagram, growing up, it was a whole different experience for you.
Oh yes, definitely. Growing up for me, I was born and raised in a segregated neighborhood where it was all black neighborhood. If you came across anyone that was not black, you thought that they were either the police or a social worker. So it was not very much diversity at all. We didn't have a lot of money whatsoever. We grew up with roaches. I'm the oldest of 7. And life was just really hard for us. We lived in this scarcity mentality our entire life. And it was really challenging. Many people in my family that I could look up to for a positive direction or even any direction. A lot of people in my family had this scarcity mentality as well. Deep within me, I wanted something more out of life. I didn't want to live the way that a lot of people around me, the way that they were living. And so at a really young age, I told myself that I wanted to do differently. And because I grew up in an environment also where we could not explore, I was trapped basically. I stayed in my room most of the time, even during the summertime, when all the kids would be out playing and go to summer parks and camps or go on road trips with their families. I was in my room. I was in my room. My family never traveled. We didn't do anything like that. And so I remember my first goals were literally, get a car and just drive and just go anywhere. And I had visions of, just things that are so simple to us these days, but, just driving around, my hair is blowing in the wind, there's good music on, and just the power, just the fact of knowing that I can go anywhere I want to go was like, wow, it was something that was incredible to me.
Okay, so you talked about your childhood and your experiences kind of with money growing up, and then, fast forward to the point where you're in San Francisco, you have a BMW, you have an apartment, you do have debt, but you decide, okay, actually in 30 days, I want to completely uproot my life. That must have been kind of a crazy moment for you, but I can't imagine that conversation with your son. So how do you approach that conversation with a child? I mean, how old was he at the time? Was he on board? Did you have hesitations about how that would impact his life?
Oh, totally. I had so many concerns. I mean, especially because I'm a single mom and I was wondering about, how others would feel about this too, other people in our family. By the time I arrived in the Bay Area, I had already been an entrepreneur, but because I was moving to another state and I didn't know anyone, I had to start my life all the way over. And that is what led me to go into the corporate world, into the first place, because I had to use these professional skills that I had to basically start all over. I had to get to know the area and build up my resources and connections before I went back into entrepreneurship. So here we are, fast forward, it's 2 years now. I've been in the corporate world. It feels like my soul is dying, okay? Because I'm not doing what I enjoy. And then also another little thing, which I'm sure will be revealed and talked about, was that I was sexually harassed in the workplace. So I was dealing with that as well. And it was really challenging to have that in the back of my head because all of the industries that I was really good at, being an executive and so forth, I was always surrounded by a lot of men. And so there were some triggers there and so forth. But because I was not living in my light, because I knew I was supposed to be an entrepreneur, it really hurt to be in this position of so much discomfort and forcing myself to stay in, these type of industries and positions all because of money was just something that I was not okay with. And I had this credit card debt that was racking up. So no matter what, being in the corporate world, it just felt like I was paying a lot of money to stay in a fancy box. And so anyway, fast forward, it's now been 2 years that I've been working on my own and not in the corporate world, but I'm still living in this box. But this time it's a little bit more risky. The income from entrepreneurship is not always sustainable. We have our really good months, but then you don't know when it's going to come in again. But when those good months come in, they are really good. So, and I'm just like, I want to pay off this credit card debt. I'm tired of paying off all these bills. I want to explore and travel. I don't want to pay all this stuff anymore. And my son, who was 8 years old at the time, he's 9 now, he had it hard at school. Like he was having a really hard time reading. I was feeling bad because the hours that I really needed to work and be there for my clients were in the evening time. Well, my son's gone throughout the entire day. And then as soon as he comes home from school, the drill begins. And it's jump in the shower, eat dinner, let's read a book, and then go to sleep. Literally Monday through Friday. As soon as he gets home, it's just drill. And I was feeling bad about not being able to give my son that quality time that he needs and be able to visit his school a lot more. And I just really wanted to understand my son more and have a closer relationship with him because I knew that he was a really bright boy, but I didn't know that if his learning style was being met in the classroom. During this time when I made this Facebook post, before I made a second Facebook post and made the promise to travel the world within 30 days, I had a talk with my son and I said, Carter, how would you feel about traveling the world and just going all over the place and visiting, these cool places and homeschooling? And he was like, homeschooling, what's that? And I said, I would teach you on the road and we would have more flexibility. And he was like, I'm okay with that. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm getting excited, but I'm like, are you sure? I just want to make sure because this means that you might not be able to see some of your friends for a while, but you'll be able to, I said, I'll get you a cell phone and you can FaceTime them. And anytime when we come back, we can visit them and you'll make more friends. And he said, let's do it. And then also he was bullied a little bit at school too. So that I think played a factor in all of this as well, because he didn't want to be around that. So yeah, he said he was down and a great weight was lifted off my shoulder there because I was wondering, okay, what if he says no? And, and what do I do now? But then it's like, if anybody's listening to this podcast and you have kids and you're wondering what the child is going to think, just remember that our kids have parents for a reason. And you got to think about what your intention is when you are going to go on an endeavor like this, because I knew that my intention was to pay off debt, to connect with more people, to volunteer in schools and talk to them about bullying, to have a better relationship with my son, to give him the quality time that I really want to give him, especially while he's so young. I didn't want him to live a sheltered life. I wanted him to be able to explore. And so the intention is what really matters. And he said he was down. So to this day, he absolutely loves it. And I'm so happy that we're doing this together.
So what's a typical day look like for you two?
Every day in our world is Saturday. Literally. Every day in our world is Saturday, and we are waking up in our onesies and and our house shoes and really comfortable clothing that we got from Asia. Every day really just depends on what day it is. He goes to an online school, but there still is a curriculum, and he has about 5 assignments that he needs to get done every single day. But we have a lot of flexibility, and we can get those done just about any time. But, we wake up whenever we want. We literally, our circadian rhythm is like our drum. Like we listen to it, we feel it. So we wake up whenever we want. and we just relax and we meditate. Nothing is rushed. As soon as we wake up, we are able to make a nice breakfast, and everything really depends on where we are. We get on the laptop and we work for a couple hours, then we take a break, and Carter usually goes and runs out, plays on the beach or with some friends that he just made, or sometimes if we're around family, we do different activities, then we come back and we work some more. We're always seeking some sort of adventure, and discovering something new, and that includes food and all kind of events. It varies, but it's pure freedom, to be able to just wake up and have an agenda, but at the same time, it's very flexible and we can wander and we don't have to stress and worry about time. Like, we're never looking at what time is it? What time is it? Like, we never look at the time.
How's he doing school-wise? Is his reading better?
Oh my goodness. My son, since we have been homeschooling, his reading level has skyrocketed. I mean, when my son was in second grade, right before we left to do this journey, I remember having discussions with his teacher, and she was saying there might be a possibility that your child may have to repeat second grade because his reading level is not where it should be. And I remember thinking, over my dead body, because I know my son and we read together, and I'm like, something's just not right, And I'm like, that is not happening. So since we have enrolled in homeschool, not only has my son's reading level improved, but he made honor roll that last semester when we transferred, because we literally, I pulled him out of the school that he was at, and then he got enrolled into Connections Academy, where he has a teacher and a curriculum, and I'm the what they consider as the learning coach, because he's actually reading things that he's more interested in, and because this curriculum, it really caters to every child, like the different ways that children learn. It's enabled him to feel more confident and passionate about what he's reading, when he's reading it, and what it's about. So yeah, oh my goodness, it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, lots of improvement.
How do you find people to connect with? So I'm following you on Instagram, and I know your son has a little Instagram too, and it seems like he's got friends in the picture and you have friends. How are you finding these people?
Oh my goodness. Well, being a super friendly, outgoing person definitely helps. And I feel like we attract all these people because I mean, and this is a common question. I'm glad that you brought this up, because people, I guess they feel like when you're traveling alone, that meeting people is hard. And for us, it is the complete opposite. I mean, we attract the most amazing, authentic, beautiful people from all around the world, simply, I think, by just being around, like just being out and about and just walking around and saying hello. Like, it's so funny. It's so cool how far a hello can take you, but eye contact, smiling, things like that really make a big difference. But, we're super social online, and our Snapchat and Facebook, those are the two platforms that we are on the most. And we, even though we're off the grid with the kid, that's our YouTube, we still let people know where we are a lot of times. Sometimes we're not letting people know exactly where we are in that moment, because we have had a couple times where literally people will find us, they're like, oh, they were literally going like a scavenger hunt and find us. And it kind of like, it's like, wow, it's super cool. But at the same time, it's like, whoa,
Yeah, if the wrong person wants to track you down. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's
yeah.
So that's awesome. Question for you. How did you get the van, and how did you outfit it for this trip?
After we have been traveling on planes for probably about 9 months, and we were mainly outside of the US. When I came back to the States, I said, man, I want to stick around for a while because I want to do more work in my community. And I miss my family and friends that are here. And I was thinking, how can I stay in the US and make this affordable? I was like, well, I could do Airbnb, and there's things like couch surfing and all these cool apps and services. But that's still going to be, some of these things are still going to be really expensive. And then I just thought about van life and how I had always been intrigued. And I was like, wow, I realized that I can do this. I can do this right now. And then I was like, okay, well, I need a van. So I started looking on YouTube and Instagram and seeing all these really cool vans. And I'm like, man, like, where are people getting these vans and how much are they? And so I thought, okay, for our lifestyle, I know that we're in this full time. You know, we're not going on vacation. It might look like it and kind of feel like it, but we're on more like a lifecation. It's full time, live, work, and play in this van. So what I did was I spent hours and hours online on Craigslist looking for different vans. But the problem was, I mean, they were just like shells. They were all beat up. And I know myself, I need something that is going to be as low maintenance as possible. And so what I did was I went on rvtrader.com. Well, actually, no, I can't give myself all the credit here. I told one of my friends that I was looking for a van, and they went on rvtrader.com and started looking for vans, and then they sent me the link. And so when I went on rvtrader.com, I found this van that had a kitchen, a fridge, shower, toilet, you know, you could stand up in it. And I was thinking, man, this is really cool. And it's only, you know, $4,900. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's got to be a scam. This can't be right, because every other van that I found that was even close to this was way more and didn't have like half of the amenities inside this van. And so I reached out to the person who was selling the van, and then it seemed even more sketch and like a scam, because it was like this Australian couple that tour the US, and they need to sell the van to get back out of the country, but they need the money 2 weeks before they can hand over the van. And it was just like all these like ifs and, oh, I got to use this service. And so anyway, it just seemed kind of like weird, but I trusted my intuition and I really wanted the van. So I purchased a flight out like within 48 hours to meet these people in Buffalo, New York, just when they were crossing the border coming back, because they were traveling through Canada in the van. And there I found it. It wasn't a scam. We didn't have to do much. I mean, honestly, we kind of got lucky in a sense of, you know, our van is a 1989 Ford and it's already converted. It was built like this, you know, and they don't really make vans like this anymore with all of the amenities that a RV has. You know, technically it's a Class B, it's a motorhome.
What kind of van is it?
Our van is a 1989 Ford Econoline.
Now, see, that's interesting, because I thought you were going to say it was one of the VWs, and I was going to be... I mean, I am jealous anyway, regardless of what kind of van it is, but I was expecting the VW to be the answer.
Oh, no, I think even the VWs, I think a lot of those, they're really classy, but they don't have, like, toilet and shower and stuff in there, you know?
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
Wait, so your van has a toilet and a shower?
Oh, yeah, we have a toilet and a shower in here.
What? I didn't know that vans came with that. I thought it was like you had to get a gym membership or something and use gas stations.
Oh, no, we have gym membership still, don't get me wrong. I mean, and we use it. I mean, it allows us to, well, for me, I still like to work out and stuff, because when I started this journey, man, van life completely changes your lifestyle on so many different ways. I'm telling you, you're talking to a girl right now with champagne taste that has had like beer money for a while, in a sense of like growing up that way. You know, like I've always really liked nice things, but I had champagne taste with quote unquote beer money, as they would say. And so even when I started making like a whole lot of money and then traveling the world full time, I was traveling really fancy, you know, everywhere we went was still really fancy. So when we got the van, we had to adjust to this lifestyle. Like, I don't care how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't, if you are spending a lot of money, your experience is not going to be the same. Believe it or not, the less money you spend, the more awesome your journey gets, because there's some sort of like beauty and creativity and all this awesome stuff comes when you have to be resourceful, literally. Because when you're living fancy, you're not going to connect with people the same. It just won't happen. Like, you meet the coolest people when you're at a farmer's market and when you are at these cool little beach spots where you can take showers and things like that. And even things like, okay, like I have a toothbrush that I paid $150 for. It's like the best of the best toothbrushes, by Colgate. And I love it. But then when you do van life, charging up your toothbrush, it becomes too high maintenance for the journey. And so I'll save those stories for another time. It's just it's interesting. There's definitely a crossover that has to happen whenever you do van life because, yeah.
So what are some resources that people could look into if they're interested in the van life?
Well, I'd have to say this. For anyone that is interested in van life, you really got to think about your expectations and the reason why you're doing this lifestyle first, because there's so many different ways that you can do this journey. For example, you have people that are just, I believe they call them van dwellers, which means that they are just living in a van. They're not going anywhere. Usually they're parked in one spot. They're just living in it. If you're just living in your van, and you're not going anywhere, you're going to save a whole lot of money, but your experience is going to be different because you're not really on a mission or a journey. Usually someone who's a van dweller that's just living in the van, not going anywhere, they're just doing it to save money. Or they may be homeless. And when I say homeless, when you're doing van life, especially if it's by choice, your definition of homeless is going to change. Like your perspective of homeless is completely different. I'll give you an example. When we found this awesome camping spot by Spontaneity, which is going to be the best, FYI. Like you'll find all these beautiful gems. And we found this neat spot to camp at. And we ran across another person that was doing van life, but her perspective was completely different than ours. Living in a van for her was not by choice whatsoever. And she absolutely hates her life. And she can't wait till she can get back on her feet, be back in an apartment or a home or things like that. She hates her life. And then here we are parked next to her and we're waking up like, this is great. Oh my goodness, I just feel so free. I can go anywhere. I can do anything. I can connect with anybody I want to. I just woke up, opened the doors, and here's the ocean. We're like, wow, this is really cool for us. Here she is like, I hate my life. This is stupid. I'm hot, So everything comes down to perspective and your expectations of the journey. Because, okay, thinking about the resources, that's the same thing. It's like, okay, when you're doing this journey, what do you want your lifestyle to be like and what's important to you? Like, working out is something that I put on the back burner for a while, but recently I got a gym membership and now, I can not only go in there and take a shower, but I can also work out and I can connect with people and make friends there too. But if I just wanted to live in the van and live the quiet life, then, it's just picking up and going wherever your heart takes you. But ultimately, everything comes down to how you are going to live your life, because I have a business still to run and then I'm homeschooling my son. So what that means is we need to live off Wi-Fi. I need to be able to have a reliable connection everywhere we go, no matter what. It's like our lifeline, right? You might have somebody else who doesn't like being online and that might not be important to them. Or maybe they don't have enough money to afford a hotspot or something like that, because everybody has different budgets, right? So if you don't have a hotspot, things like that, then you're going to spend a lot of time Wi-Fi hunting, chasing signals and things like that. So it really all just depends. But there's so many resources out there that I can say it like this. You can live a really awesome life. You just have to define what you need, and what you're willing to do. Because you don't need to have a van where you have a shower and a stove and everything already built in. You can buy these things, or you can use other, resources at different places like campgrounds. It all just kind of depends. I feel like, I don't know, that one is kind of hard to answer because it depends on like the person and their expectations,
Well, thank you for sharing this with us. And I know you've probably left all of our listeners and myself really inspired and thinking about things differently, especially for me personally, the homeschooling element. I grew up in the same school system my entire life pretty much, and I had the same friends, and I had one opinion about that experience being positive. But when I think about my potential future children, I like the idea of taking breaks in their education and like doing cool stuff like this. So thank you for opening my mind to that and for sharing it with the rest of us. To close things down though, I do want to ask you, if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
If people want to learn more about me, the best place to find me would be on Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram for sure. My Facebook is my name spelled backwards, which is Smith Bionca. And my Snapchat, my Instagram are Bionca Smith, Bionca Smith. And we also have some new social media pages for Off the Grid with the Kid, which is our name, on YouTube. By popular demand, people wanted us to start a YouTube channel, so we did that about a month or so ago. You know, we would love it for people to come and join our journey because we have a lot to share and a lot to offer, and we really hope that in sharing our transparent journey, that it really inspires a lot of people to get out there and do it. You know, if you want to travel full time, or, you know, whatever success means to you, whatever your heart is hungry for, we really hope that sharing our transparent journey, you know, like real, you know what I mean? Practically unedited journey. We really hope that it just inspires people to have the courage to know that you're going to have to trust those whispers in your heart. And as soon as you take action to do what you really want to do, you'll see that the universe is going to make a way for you. It's going to pull things out of your way that you don't need so that you can have the room for the things that you do need. And as long as you go down that road towards reaching what you want, everything that you need will be right there in your path waiting for you. But you got to get up and just go get it, you know?
Beautiful. So last question, what is your wildest dream?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I'm living it right now. I just wanted to be free. And then even as an adult, just to be able to work on my own and do whatever I want any time of the day, to own my life completely, knowing that whatever happens, I can handle it no matter what. Even if it's good, bad, whatever it is, I own my life. I can do whatever I want. I can connect with people and I feel enough. I feel loved. I feel connected to everything that I'm doing. I'm living passionately. I get to just love and laugh and share this joy with my family and my friends. And I have enough time. That is absolutely incredible. If I can think of anything else, though, I would have to say that right now, you know, I am just on a mission to inspire as many people as possible to define and design their life by truly being honest about what they want, and then tapping into that creative energy and trusting the process of perseverance so that they can obtain those things and understand that failure is sometimes, and oftentimes it's a part, you know, it's part of the process to reaching success. You know, going through those emotions of uncertainty, you know, in the beginning of your journey where you're like, what should I do? I don't know how to do this. I don't have this, but what if this? What about that? Don't feed yourself with fears. Feed yourself with faith. Like, don't listen to other people that are going to feed you with fears either. Instead of wondering, what if I fail? Think about, what if you fly? You know, because you can truly have whatever you want, but you have to be honest with yourself about just what that is. Clearly define it. Write it on a piece of paper and literally think about how you can customize that life. And you'll see that everything you'll need will come. You just got to get creative, trust the process, and also understand that connecting with people too is really essential to this journey if you plan on doing van life.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Bionca. We really appreciate it. We wish you and your son the best. Enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Go to our website, firedrillpodcast.com, to continue the discussion and get the link to our private Facebook group.
If you like us, leave us a review on iTunes. If you're like me, you have no idea how to do that. So, in the podcast app or in iTunes, search for Fire Drill Podcast, find it, click the reviews tab, and write something to make my mother proud of me. We read every single review and want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making this podcast possible.